affairs within the UW colleges, a leader of the faculty, a leader of scholarship in our academic programs. And I'm so pleased that he accepted our invitation to be here today. Let me introduce and help me welcome Greg Lampe.
Thank you. Very kind, and thank you so much, John, for that kind introduction. And good evening, 2012 graduates, family, friends, guests, faculty, staff, and most of all, students. It's such an honor for me and privilege for me to share this celebration and this evening with you. I can hardly express in words, and I'm a person of words since I am in communications, but it is really wonderful to be here. And I'm so excited for all of the graduates and especially your families. This is such a big night, and in just a few moments, our graduates will walk across the stage and receive their degree. And as you've already heard, that's a great moment. And so let's pause for just a moment and take stock in this moment and really think about the joyousness of this occasion and also what it means and its importance as a milestone in our lives' journey. This is also a time, of course, for gratitude. And because we don't arrive at these milestones alone and with only the help of others, I need to ask these questions of the graduates and maybe everyone in this room. What, at this moment, are we most grateful for? Is it the support of close friends who have been there for you along the way as you work towards this degree? Is it the love of family that has sustained you as you took classes here at UW Fond du Lac? Is it an instructor who inspired you to think in new and creative ways? Is it an advisor who helped you select just the right courses, who listened to you and responded to you and answered all your questions? Is it an employer who was flexible with your work schedule so that you could go to classes? I challenge you to think about what you're most grateful for at this very moment in your life and to remind you that it's really important that we thank those people who have made all of this possible. So now let's focus on why we're here together tonight. You'll notice in your programs that we call this occasion in higher education commencement. And what exactly does that mean? To me, it means that this is a time at which something is supposed to begin. But of course, with every new beginning comes a meaningful end. And so I ask you not only to look back, but ask you, what are you beginning? Will you be transferring, for example, to a four-year institution to pursue a bachelor's degree? Will you be entering the workforce? Will you be remaining here on campus and pursuing a bachelor's degree? Will you be entering a life of service to the community? Whatever path you will be taking after tonight, please go forward knowing that you are well prepared. During your time here at UW Fond du Lac, you have learned how to think critically, work in small groups, communicate your thoughts and ideas clearly and concisely, respect diversity and diverse people and ideas, and of course, much, much more. Indeed, you are well prepared for whatever step you might take next. As I thought about tonight's ceremony and I thought about what I wanted to say to you, I, of course, considered many options. I read many commencement speeches, ones that are marked in the library of commencement speeches as great speeches. It's very humbling to read those. And I thought, what can I bring to you this evening that would be meaningful? My leading question was, what could I share with you that might be helpful to you as you graduate tonight and you move forward? And after a lot of thought, I arrived at 3 pieces of advice. So just bear with me. Remember, advice depends whether or not you want to take it. So you, of course, have that option. But here's my first piece of advice, and that is to always strive to do your best. Throughout my life, my mom and dad impressed on me that no matter what, I needed to do my best. That to be successful in any endeavor meant giving my best effort. Anything less was absolutely unacceptable. During my freshman year of college, I seemed to have forgotten that advice. I played and I partied way too much, and I didn't devote enough time to my studies. And when my grades came that December, after my first semester, my mom sat me down at the kitchen table, which is our common place to be reprimanded, and she asked me only one question. She said to me, Gregory Paul, and when she used my full name and my middle name, I knew I was in very deep trouble. Gregory Paul, did you do your best? And I looked into her eyes, and then I dropped my eyes onto the floor and looked at my feet. I didn't even answer. I just knew in my heart that I hadn't given my best. And that single question asked that very evening that my mom asked me turned me around, and turned me around on a course that I've never stopped. In my sophomore year, I worked really hard and did my very best, and I quite honestly have not stopped since. No matter what, you must do your best. To do any less is cheating yourself of living up to your potential. Many famous people have written about doing one's best, and one of them, and one of my heroes, was Eleanor Roosevelt, who was considered one of the most active and influential first ladies in United States history. And she wrote this, and I quote, "I don't know whether I believe in a future life, and I came to feel that it really didn't matter very much because whatever the future held, you'd have to face it when it came to you, just as whatever life holds, you have to face it in exactly the same way. And the important thing was that you never let down doing the best you are able to do. It might be poor because you might not have very much within you to give, but as long as you did your very best that you were able to do, then that was what you were put here to do, and that was what you were accomplishing being here. And so I have tried to follow that out, and not to worry about the future or what was going to happen. You have to accept whatever comes, and the only thing is that you meet it with courage and with the best that you have to give." End of quote. So I challenge you to embrace those words of Eleanor Roosevelt, to meet the future with courage and do the best that you can and give all that you have to give. My second piece of advice is to never give up. In 1987, at the age of 33, I applied to go to graduate school at the UW-Madison. I wanted and needed to get my PhD. In fact, my very future in higher education depended on it. After submitting my materials and after a gruesome interview, a grueling interview, I was accepted into the Communication Arts PhD program. And then the self-doubt set in. I had been out of college for 9 years, and I wasn't sure that I could make it in a Big Ten university. I had a wife and 2 young daughters, ages 4 and 2. We would be poor college students once again, but nevertheless, with the support of my wife, we put our house on the market, packed up all our belongings, rented a U-Haul truck, and moved to Madison and into student housing, a 2-bedroom apartment in Eagle Heights, by the way, if you're familiar with Madison. I had then to balance teaching at the UW-Rock County campus, studying and parenting as I took a full load of graduate classes. I studied on the weekends and late into the night, and you probably all can relate to this. I carried my books on vacation. I lugged my laptop computer just about everywhere I went. And after 3 years, I completed my coursework. 5 years later, I completed my dissertation and received my PhD. And over those 8 years, I have to admit, there were times when I was deeply discouraged and I wanted to give up. But I kept my mom's words in mind and I kept going, and knowing that when I earned that PhD, my life in higher education as a professor would be secured. I never gave up. And no doubt all of you have faced obstacles and bumps and unexpected twists and turns during your journey here at UW-Fond du Lac, and you too, obviously, have never given up. In 1947, one of my heroes, Jackie Robinson, pioneered integration of professional athletics in the United States by becoming the first black player in the major leagues. Here is what he wrote about never giving up. Quote, "Whatever obstacles I found made me fight all the harder, but it would have been impossible for me to fight at all, except that I was sustained by the personal and deep-rooted belief that my fight had a chance. It had a chance because it took place in a free society. Not once was I forced to face a fight or fight an immovable object. Not once was the situation so ironclad that I had no chance at all. Free minds and human spirits were at work all around me, and so there was the probability of improvement. There is nothing static with a free people." And then he goes on to say this, I believe in the human race. I believe in the warm heart. I believe in man's integrity. I believe in the goodness of a free society. And I believe that the society can remain good only as long as we are willing to fight for it and to fight whatever imperfections may exist." End of quote. So now I challenge you to heed the words of Jackie Robinson, to fight whatever imperfections you might encounter, and please never, ever give up the fight. My third piece of advice to you is to make a difference. On a beautiful, starry August summer night, on the eve of my going off to college, my girlfriend asked me what I wanted to do with my life. I took a deep breath and I stared up at those beautiful stars that night and I replied, "I want to make a difference." Of course, at that time, it sounded good, but I really didn't know what it meant. I only knew that in my heart and in my soul, I wanted to make a difference in the world. In college, when I finally settled on a major, I chose education because I wanted to make a difference in the lives of students. When offered the opportunity to serve as an administrator for the UW colleges, I chose to do so because I wanted to make a difference in determining the direction of the institution I had come to love and cherish. In my personal life, I volunteer to give blood regularly through the American Red Cross because I want to make a difference in the life of a patient and their family. In my community, I volunteer to raise money for sheltering homeless families in Madison because I want to make a difference in the life of a family. In the 19th century, a former slave named Frederick Douglass, which John alluded to earlier, proved that one man can make a difference. He championed the cause of freedom and liberty for all people, men and women, regardless of color. Douglass earned fame as a lecturer, an author, a humanitarian, and a reformer. He committed his life to ending slavery and racism in America. He met with resistance everywhere he went. Every long road he traveled, he faced adversity. Douglass proved that one man can make a difference. He committed himself to using the power of oratory to destroy the institution of slavery and expose the evils of prejudice and racism. He told his story of slavery to thousands and thousands of people throughout the North, and he was a champion all the way through, right to the end of his life, for human rights. Along the way, people tried to shout Douglass off the platform. They threw stones, bricks, rotten eggs, planks of wood, everything they could to get him off the stage and have him stop talking about racism and slavery. Through it all, though, he stood firm, and he refused to stop speaking. Through it all, he never gave up. Through it all, he proved that one person can make a tremendous difference. At this time of great challenges, with a slow economic recovery, and our deeply, deeply politically divided state and nation, we really need you. We need you to make a difference more than ever. So as you continue to challenge yourselves and continue on your life journey, I challenge you to meet the future with courage and to do your best. I challenge you to fight for whatever imperfections you might encounter and never give up. And I challenge you to make a difference. I'd like to close tonight with a poem I came across just recently by Mary Oliver, appropriately entitled "The Journey." One day, you finally knew what you had to do and began, though the voices around you kept shouting their bad advice, though the whole house began to tremble and you felt the old tug at your ankles. "Mend my life," each voice cried. But you didn't stop. You knew what you had to do. Though the wind pried with its stiff fingers at the very foundations, though their melancholy was terrible, it was already late enough, and a wild night on the road full of fallen branches and stone. But little by little, as you left the voices behind, the stars began to burn through the sheets of clouds, and there was a new voice which you slowly recognized as your own. That kept you company as you strode deeper and deeper into the world, determined to do the only thing you could do, determined to save the only life you could save. So good luck, graduates. And as you continue on that life journey, I wish you the very, very best and all the success that the world can hold for you. Thank you very much.